After 8 long years of being cut out from every family gathering, my parents stood at the gates of my mansion as if they owned it. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the storm of emotions boiling inside me. They weren't here to apologize, not here to make peace. No. They were here because they finally realized the daughter they once called worthless now had something they wanted. Before I continue, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this story, because trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. I stared at them from the doorway, their eyes scanning the marble floors, the chandelier above, and the luxury cars parked outside as if every detail mocked their old judgment. My mother smirked and whispered to my father, "I told you she couldn't have done this on her own." My father's jaw tightened, pretending to stay calm, but I saw the hunger in his eyes, the kind of greed I remembered from childhood, the same greed that once left me with nothing. "Erica," my mother said sweetly, her voice dripping with fake kindness, "we thought it's been too long. Maybe it's time for the family to be together again." I wanted to laugh in their faces. 8 years ago, when I was jobless, broke, and sleeping on a friend's couch, they told me I was a burden. They shut the door on me, refused to let me even sit at the reunion table. I still remembered the sting of my father's words. "You're an embarrassment. We don't need failures at this table." And now here they were, dressed in smiles, pretending they missed me. I leaned against the doorframe, letting them feel the silent stretch. My heart raced, not from nerves but from the perfect satisfaction of watching them squirm. My mother fidgeted with her pearl necklace, and my father cleared his throat, searching for the right words to soften their entrance into the life they once kicked me out of. Finally, my father said, "We thought maybe you could host the next reunion. After all, you clearly have the space." His voice cracked on the last word, and I knew instantly this wasn't about family. This was about power, control, and using me the same way they always did. I stepped aside just enough to let them enter, but every move I made was calculated. My father's shoes clicked against the marble, his eyes darting like a thief scanning for treasure. My mother trailed her fingers across the gold-framed family portraits I had hung, not of them, but of my chosen family, my friends who stood by me when I had nothing. Her face stiffened the moment she realized none of their pictures were on my walls. "Beautiful place you have here," my father said, his voice coated with envy. Almost too beautiful for someone who had nothing 8 years ago. My chest tightened, but not from shame. They still didn't believe this was mine, that I had built it. And that disbelief? It only fueled me. "Erica," my mother chimed in, "we missed you. We made mistakes. Families fight, but in the end, blood is blood." Her tone was fake sweet, but her eyes betrayed her. She wasn't here for reconciliation, she was here for acclaim. I chuckled, low and cold. "You missed me? Or you missed the chance to use me again?" Their faces faltered. For a second, the mask slipped, and I saw the truth. Desperation. My father cleared his throat again. "Look, the family is struggling. The house needs repairs, medical bills. We thought maybe, since you're doing well, you could step up. Host us! Help us!" It's what family does. The nerve. The absolute nerve. The same man who once told me I wasn't real family was now asking me to save them. Before I could answer, the sound of heels echoed down the stairs. It was my business partner, Jenna, holding a thick folder in her hands. She glanced at me, then at my parents, and whispered, "They don't know yet, do they?" I smirked. "Not yet, but they're about to." My parents exchanged a quick, uneasy glance. "Know what?" my mother asked, her voice suddenly thin. I took the folder from Jenna, my fingers brushing the heavy paper that carried the truth that would flip their world upside down. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just a reunion. This was payback, and I held every card in my hand. I placed the folder on the glass table between us, letting the silence stretch until I could feel their nerves crawling. My mother's hand twitched, as if she wanted to snatch it open, but she held herself back. My father leaned forward, eyes narrowed. "What is this, Erica? Some kind of game?" I locked my gaze on him, the man who once laughed in my face when I begged for a second chance. "Not a game," I said calmly. "A reality check." Jenna smirked from behind me, folding her arms. "Funny thing about family," she said. "Sometimes strangers treat you better." I slid the folder closer. My father finally cracked it open, his eyes scanning the first page. Instantly, his face paled. My mother leaned over his shoulder, her breath catching when she saw the bold black letters across the top. Property ownership deeds. "Yes," I said, savoring every word. "Not just this mansion. I own the house you still live in. The one you told me I wasn't good enough to step foot in? I bought it out from under you years ago. You've been paying rent. To me." The blood drained from their faces. My mother's pearls rattled as her hand shook. No, this can't be true. We bought that house 30 years ago." I leaned in, my voice sharp as glass. "You lost it. Foreclosure. Remember those late bills you hid from the family? The bank sold it and I was the buyer. Every dollar you scraped together to keep your roof over your head went straight into my pocket." My father slammed the folder shut, his voice breaking. You tricked us." I laughed, the sound echoing in the grand hall. "No, I survived you. I built everything you swore I never would. And while you were busy cutting me out of family dinners, I was quietly writing the checks that kept you afloat." Their silence was deafening. For the first time in my life, my parents looked small in front of me, weak, powerless. But I wasn't done. I took a step closer, my eyes locked on theirs. "And you know what the best part is?" I whispered. "That rent you've been paying all these years? It wasn't even about the money. It was about watching you live in a house that no longer belonged to you, knowing one day I'd make you beg at my door," my mother gasped, clutching her chest. While my father tried to stand tall but failed miserably, and as the weight of the truth sank in, I smiled. Because this was only the first secret I was ready to reveal. The next evening, my mansion was filled with voices, laughter, and clinking glasses. My parents had insisted on inviting the entire family for what they called a reunion. I allowed it, not because I wanted them here, but because I wanted everyone to witness what was about to unfold. Cousins who once mocked me for never making it, aunts who called me the failure of the family, uncles who said I'd end up working at a gas station forever. They all stepped through my doors with fake smiles, their eyes darting at the chandeliers, the velvet curtains, the luxury spread laid out on the dining table. "Wow, Erica," my cousin Brad muttered under his breath, sipping his drink. "Didn't know you had it in you." I forced a smile. "Oh, Brad, you don't even know the half of it." Dinner started, but instead of warmth, the air was heavy with judgment. My Aunt Linda leaned across the table and whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "So, Erica, how did you afford this? Lottery ticket? Sugar daddy?" Laughter rippled through the table. I let them laugh. I let them all mock, because every second they spent underestimating me made the truth that much sweeter. Then, my father stood up with his wine glass. "Everyone," he announced proudly, "we're back together tonight thanks to Erica. She's offered to open her home to us. Because, well, family is family." My jaw clenched. He was already twisting the story, painting me as if I owed them this. That's when Jenna walked in, heels clicking against the floor, holding another folder. She gave me a nod, the signal we'd planned. I rose slowly, all eyes turning to me. My heart pounded, but my voice was steady. "Actually, there's something I've been meaning to share with all of you." The room went silent. Chairs shifted. My uncle coughed nervously. I took the folder from Jenna, opened it, and laid out a stack of documents across the table. While you all were too busy excluding me from every family gathering, I wasn't wasting time. I wasn't crying. I was building! Gasps spread across the room as I revealed the truth. Every property you see on these pages, this mansion, your businesses, and yes, even the childhood home my parents brag about, I own them all. The laughter vanished. The silence was so thick I could hear my mother's breath hitch. My cousin Brad leaned forward, snatching one of the deeds. His face turned red. This is impossible," I met his stare coldly. "No, Brad. What's impossible is how blind you all were. You mocked me for years while I became the landlord of your lives. The room exploded with shocked whispers. My parents looked pale, my mother gripping her pearls so tightly I thought they'd snap. And just when the chaos hit its peak, I raised my hand for silence. But don't worry, I said with a smile that cut through the tension. The best part is still to come. The room buzzed with panic, anger, and disbelief. Some of my relatives flipped through the papers like they were searching for a mistake. Others stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. My father slammed his fist on the table, his voice breaking with rage. You think this makes you better than us, Erica? You betrayed your own blood. I stood tall, every word sharp and deliberate. No, you betrayed me 8 years ago when you shut me out, laughed at me, and treated me like I was nothing. All I did was rise without you. My mother's face crumpled, tears spilling as she whispered, "We're still your parents." Doesn't that mean anything? Her words might have shaken me once, but not anymore. Parents don't abandon their child to save face. Family doesn't kick you out when you're down. You made it clear I was on my own, and I accepted that. Jenna stepped beside me, her hand on my shoulder, and she built something all of you could never dream of. The whispers turned into full-blown arguments among the relatives. Cousins accusing cousins of jealousy, aunts glaring at uncles for ever siding with my parents. The family that once mocked me as an outsider was now crumbling in my living room, exposed by their own greed. I let the chaos swell before delivering the final blow. I raised my voice above the noise. Here's the truth. This mansion, these businesses, even the roof over your heads, they're all mine. And starting tonight, I'm done letting people who threw me away profit from my success. If you want to stay in my world, you'll treat me with respect. Otherwise, the doors are closed forever. Dead silence followed. Every eye was on me, but this time, not with mockery. With fear, with respect, with realization. My father sank into his chair, defeated, his voice barely a whisper. We need you. I stepped closer, looking him dead in the eyes. No, Dad, you don't need me. You need the daughter you threw away to save you. But that daughter is gone. Now, you face the woman who rose without you. And with that, I turned my back on them, walking away as the weight of my words hung heavy in the room. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the outcast. I was the one in control. That night, as the doors closed behind the family that once left me behind, I felt something I'd been waiting for all these years. Freedom. Sweet, powerful freedom. And in their silence, I knew they finally understood the one thing they could never take away from me: my victory.